Spring Snail is officially complete, so it's time for my final thoughts on this kit from Diamond Art Studio UK. So first of all, look at how pretty it is! This kit is 50 by 50 centimeters and it took me approximately 40 hours to complete. It cost £30, which I think is an absolute bargain. And considering I have paid significantly more money for activities that have brought me significantly less joy, I am extremely happy with that. So the first thing that I want to talk about is the rendering, because I think the finished piece is even more beautiful than the image shown online. The colors, they're so bright, they're so vibrant, the details are clear, and the entire image feels really cohesive. There's a lovely balance of color blocking and confetti. The symbols on the canvas are crystal clear throughout the entire kit. I didn't come across any confusing symbols, blurry printing, or moments where I had to stare at the canvas like it owed me money. Everything was very easy to read, which made the overall working experience very enjoyable. Now, we obviously need to talk about the sparkle. These drills are so beautiful when the light hits them. We recently had a heat wave here in Northern Ireland, so I managed to get some footage of the finished kit in bright sunlight, and I think it really just shows how much sparkle these drills have. One of the most noticeable features of this kit was the drill field. It was extremely tight. I'm going to show this kit on a light pad and compare it with Fire Drake from Diamond Art Club so you can see the difference. Now, in fairness to Diamond Art Club, this kit was released in 2022 and they have tightened the grid since then, but there is still a tiny gap in between drills. I also just wanted an excuse to show Fire Drake before I hang it on my wall. So, this is Spring Snail on the light pad by Diamond Art Studio, and this is Fire Drake by Diamond Art Club. As you can see, there is very little visible space between the drills on Spring Snail. Now personally, I really like this. The tight grid helps the finished picture look very full, very cohesive, and you don't have a lot of canvas showing through between the drills. I think it gives the finished image a really solid, polished appearance. Now, there is a small downside. It doesn't leave a lot of room for error. If one drill is placed slightly out of position or it's slightly misshapen, it can start nudging the surrounding drills out of place, and because the grid is so tight, if you force it in, it can cause the other drills to pop up. There were a few instances where I felt that I was fighting with the drill field just to squeeze that last one in. I had to place it pretty hard, but once it was in, it was in. It is simply something to be aware of if you are a slightly less precise placer, or if you like to work very quickly, or if you generally prefer a little more breathing room between your drills. In my Diamond Art Club kits, I usually slap the drills down and then they align themselves as I progress in the canvas, but with this kit I felt I had to place them much more meticulously. So I did find that taking a little extra care with my placement as I worked made a big difference. The drill quality was fantastic overall. These were resin drills, very sparkly, consistently shaped, and really pleasant to work with. I found very little trash across most of the colours. The main exception to that was the colour Black 310. So I did find a more noticeable amount of misshapen or unusable drills in that colour. Now this is just a sample, but even the drills with the tiny extra bits on them I wasn't able to use because this grid calls for perfection. Now, from what I've seen and heard from other diamond painters, Black 310 drills seem to cause problems across a number of different companies and factories. I think black is the most produced drill, and therefore because it's produced in such large quantities, maybe more junk drills get through? I'm not really sure, but it was noticeable in this kit as the other drills were mostly perfect. But it's still something I wanted to mention as part of the review. Thankfully, I had more than enough 310s to complete the picture. I think there were 3 bags of them. So I did receive enough drills in every colour to complete the kit, but there were a few colours where I felt I was cutting it a bit close. These are all the bags of remaining drills. You can see some are significantly fuller than others and some only have a small amount left, but absolute props to Diamond Art Studio. They know what they're doing because I didn't run out of drills at all and I was able to complete this kit with some left over. I didn't need to contact the company for any replacements, and every section was completed successfully and beautifully. But there were definitely a couple of colours that made me nervous. Overall, I really enjoyed working on Spring Snail. The clear symbols made it easy to follow, the drills were lovely to use, and the finished artwork gave me plenty of colour and detail without becoming frustrating. The tight grid did mean I had to pay attention to my placement, but I also find it very satisfying because everything fit together so neatly. So at approximately 40 hours of diamond painting, this kit was worth it for £30. It's a large enough canvas that it felt like a substantial project, but it also didn't feel endless and I never got bored or frustrated working on this canvas. So, to summarize, my main observations would be that the grid is very tight. Some of the drill quantities were closer than I would personally prefer. There was more trash among the 310s than any other colours. However, the positives massively outweigh these points for me. The symbols are clear. The drills are fantastic. The artwork is beautifully rendered and the finished picture is even better than what I expected from looking at it online. For £30 and 40 hours of crafting, I think Spring Snail offered an excellent value for money. I am genuinely delighted with the finished piece, and based on this experience, I would happily purchase from Diamond Art Studio again. So, those are my final thoughts on Spring Snail. Let me know what you think of the finished result and whether you prefer a really tight drill field or more space between your drills. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video, and until then, may your drills be static free and your symbols crystal clear.